Do you remember the thrill of flipping through the pages of a magazine, past the articles and the glossy ads, searching for that thick, stiff cardboard insert? It was a grid filled with tiny pictures of album covers, Nirvana, Madonna, Aerosmith, Michael Jackson. And right there, printed in bold, impossible-to-ignore letters, was an offer that felt like a glitch in the Matrix. Get 12 cassettes or CDs for just 1 penny. For decades, millions of teenagers and young adults sat on their bedroom floors, painstakingly tearing out those little paper stamps, licking the backs, and sticking them onto an order form. You would scour the house for a single copper penny, tape it to the card, drop it in the mail, and wait. Weeks later, a massive brown cardboard box would arrive on your doorstep, packed to the brim with the soundtrack to your youth. It felt like we were getting away with robbery. How could a company practically give away millions of records and stay in business? Was it a scam? Was it legal? The truth is, Colombia House wasn't just giving away music out of the goodness of their hearts. They were executing one of the most brilliant, controversial, and deeply psychological pricing strategies in American history. And the secret behind how they actually made their billions is something most of us never realized until it was far too late.
To understand how Colombia House conquered the American living room, we have to travel back to 1955. Long before instant streaming or giant shopping mall record stores, buying music was a localized endeavor. If you lived in a major city, you had access to record shops. But if you lived in rural America, getting your hands on the latest hit album wasn't easy. Columbia Records saw an untapped gold mine. They realized the Postal Service could be their ultimate distribution network. They launched a mail order service promising to deliver the magic of music directly to your mailbox. By the 1970s and 80s, as the club evolved into Colombia House, the business exploded. They pushed 8 tracks, cassette tapes, and eventually the compact disc. Colombia House became a cultural phenomenon. Advertisements were everywhere. You couldn't open an issue of Rolling Stone or TV Guide without an insert falling into your lap. They sponsored MTV countdowns and saturated commercial breaks. They became the largest music club in the world, accounting for a staggering 15% of all music sales in the United States at their absolute peak. For a teenager with a tiny allowance, 12 albums for a penny was irresistible. But Colombia House was playing the long game. That single penny was just the bait, and once you took it, the trap snapped shut. The genius of Colombia House wasn't the music they sold, it was the fine print. When you taped that penny to the card and signed your name, you were legally binding yourself to a clever mechanism called negative option billing. By accepting 12 albums for a penny, you agreed to buy additional albums at regular club prices over the next few years. But these weren't standard record store prices. A single CD could cost $25, plus exorbitant shipping fees. The real trap arrived in your mailbox every single month. Colombia House automatically picked an album based on your past preferences. If you didn't want it, the burden was entirely on you to check a little box that said no thank you, put a stamp on the envelope, and mail it back before a strict deadline. This model relied on one fundamental human flaw: procrastination. Colombia House knew busy parents and teenagers would simply forget to mail the card. They banked on the fact that you would lose it under a stack of mail. When you just forgot, the package shipped. Suddenly, you held a CD you never asked for, accompanied by a massive bill. If you didn't pay it, the collection letters started coming. Stern letters terrified teenagers into thinking they were going to ruin their credit score over a cassette tape. Millions were caught in this endless cycle of unwanted mail and inflated bills.
Even with the late fees, how did Colombia House afford to send out those initial 12 CDs for just a penny? To understand the economics, you have to look at their secret weapon, which was licensing and manufacturing. Colombia House wasn't actually buying these CDs from the record labels at wholesale prices. Instead, they struck brilliant deals with the major music labels. Colombia House acquired the rights to manufacture the music themselves. When a blockbuster album came out, Colombia House wouldn't buy the physical CDs. They would simply get the master tapes and the artwork. Then they would press the CDs and print the booklets in their own massive manufacturing plants located in places like Terre Haute, Indiana. Because they produced the media in staggering volumes, the actual cost to produce a cassette or a CD was minuscule. We're talking about maybe $1 or less per unit. When they sent you 12 CDs, it wasn't costing them the $150 you would have paid at Tower Records. It was costing them maybe $10. As long as you forgot to mail back that no thank you card just 1 or 2 times, Colombia House made their money back and then some. It was a perfectly tuned profit machine that generated over $1 billion in revenue at its peak in the mid-1990s.
For decades, the Colombia House model seemed invincible. They successfully navigated the transition from vinyl to cassette and cassette to CD. But at the turn of the new millennium, a storm was brewing that no amount of negative option billing could survive. In 1999, a small computer program called Napster changed the world overnight. Suddenly, you didn't need to wait 4 weeks for a cardboard box to arrive in the mail. You didn't need to lick stamps or navigate threatening collection letters. You could download the exact song you wanted for free in minutes. The internet was a fatal blow to mail-order music. As the early 2000s rolled on, Apple introduced iTunes and the iPod. Consumers were no longer buying entire albums just to get one hit single, and they certainly weren't signing confusing contracts to do it. The massive warehouses in Indiana grew quiet. The ubiquitous magazine inserts disappeared. The company tried to pivot, desperately selling DVDs, but the magic was gone. After years of declining revenue, Colombia House filed for bankruptcy in 2015, quietly closing the book on an empire.
Today, the era of 12 CDs for a penny is just a truly nostalgic memory. Do you still have your old penny CDs hiding in a dark basement somewhere? Let me know your Colombia House stories in the comments below and subscribe for more.